Welcome back to another edition of Station Cribs. We are in Chester County one more time. This is in the western side of Chester County. We are at Keystone Valley in Parksburg. This is a very cool station, a lot of history here. So let's take a look what they got. So one of the first things that you see when you're driving down First Avenue in Parksburg is the memorials that they have out front. It's a gorgeous station, but these memorials are pretty significant. What we have right here is actually one of the pieces of steel from the Twin Towers. You know, if you go back to one of our other episodes, we talked about the steel of Coatesville. This is actually another memorial for that. So there's a big history here in Chester County of dealing with the Twin Towers. But as I'm walking around, you know, one of the things that they want to do is highlight the lost members they had over the years. And the Keystone Valley, you know, dedicated an entire area to members that have fallen in the line of duty. So, you know, here is a gorgeous memorial. It looks like it's built in 2013 with their hat and their flag and that kind of stuff. But each of these pavers that they're putting in here are going to be fallen memorials. If you are in Parksburg and you have the opportunity to swing by, you're going to see it. Stop by, take a look. You know, it's pretty significant here. So as we transition from one side of the memorial to the next, you're going to notice that it transitions from EMS and Fireside Memorial to the VFW. You know, this was actually here back in the day before they redid the building, and they were able to redo the memorial. They consolidated a couple of them to make a gorgeous memorial for the VFW. Working in EMS, fire, and police, and actually military, it's all a brotherhood. So taking this and having the opportunity to build a memorial for VFW in the military service is a pretty cool thing for a firehouse to do. So moving away from the memorials, we're going to be heading inside. As I'm walking out and I look down here, one thing that they did, they actually have a time capsule they set up here. It was originally put in 1972. They opened it up in 1997, and now they're scheduled to open it up one more time in 2022, just to give them a history and maybe add more to their time capsule so everybody knows what's going on. Very cool to see. You don't see that very often. I wish more firehouses would do stuff like that. As I continue to make my way up from the memorials, I noticed on the side of the building, this building was built back in 1934. It's gone through a lot of renovations over the years. It was a police station, it was a township borough, it was a fire station by itself with engine bays. You know, they expanded it and renovated it. And as we go inside, you're not going to be able to tell that this building is built in 1934. All right, as we come inside, we're coming into the foyer area and we're being met with the chairman of the building committee, the guy that's actually going to give us a lot of the history of what this building is about. Your name is Tim Reynolds, correct?
Correct.
And you've been with the fire service for how long?
Oh, about 43 years.
Wow, you got a lot of history to tell us.
Yes, I do.
So this foyer is built to basically tell the history of what was going on here. You've had a transition over the years and combined a lot of different things.
Correct? Yeah, we've had a transition a couple times. You're standing in actually the original engine room of the 1934 building that was built. And all of it was built with government funding, and part of it was done through the municipality, but mostly from funding from the residents and the community.
Okay.
That's pretty much how the fire department got started back in the 1800s.
So as I was walking inside, I saw the bell on the top. And what can you tell me anything about that bell?
Yeah, the bell's very unique. The bell came to Parksburg with Horace Beale, who owned and operated a tube mill in Parksburg, which at one time employed over 600 employees, which was majority of the town. And when the mill closed, which the mill used to be a railroad depot from the Philadelphia Columbia line, but when the mill closed, Horace Beale's son, Jr., he donated the bell to the fire department when they built the new building in 1934, and it's been housed in the belfry and still can ring today.
Wow.
During the construction of the consolidation of the four fire departments of Ackland, Parksburg, Pomeroy, and Martin's Corner, we had the bell removed, completely restored, and reinstalled to be rung on certain cages.
Wow, wow. Now, you're talking about a merger that happened here in Chester County. You merged how many companies?
Well, we consolidated three, actually. Ackland, Parksburg, and Pomeroy. In 2013. That merger was voted on and approved by all three departments.
And what was the reason for that?
The reason for that was we had duplication of apparatus, manpower, and funding, like all volunteers in the county. We're low on volunteers, we're low on funding, and consolidating and bringing in other municipalities. And at the same time, 3 municipalities came together and made a fire district also, which created fire taxes and more funding and stable funding for the fire department.
Right.
To keep.
And you guys are definitely on the cutting edge and keeping up with the times.
Yeah,
so.
we're trying to. It's tough sometimes, but we're trying to.
All right, well, let's continue on and take a look at your building, see what you got.
Sounds good.
So one thing I noticed about the foyer is it's open to mainly the public. You know, they can see what goes on, that kind of stuff. But your design of this building, you have the fire chiefs and the EMS manager right here on the main level. Right. You have the crew room right here, so the public can come in and really, you know, interact with people right away. They don't have to, you know, look around or wait for an office or that kind of stuff.
Correct. We have a paid staff 24/7. They run the ambulance. Some of them are firefighter qualified.
Okay.
And the day room is for them when they're downtime, and they also have bunk rooms upstairs.
Okay.
And that's one thing. The advantage of having a paid staff is, like, we have somebody come ask a question. We have somebody here, and if they can't answer it, there's one of us they can contact to get the correct answer.
You also are very progressive. I noticed that, you know, this is one of the only firehouses that we've been to so far. You have an elevator for handicap service. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. When we went into this last phase of this building, we wanted to make sure that the whole building was accessible to handicap. So the whole building is completely ADA. The bathrooms, all the doorways, the elevator. We have 3 levels: the training room in the cellar, this main floor, and then the office area and the meeting room up here.
Okay.
For the handicap.
So having a handicap compliant building really opens up the opportunities even for volunteerism. So if people have even handicaps, they can help out administratively, correct?
Correct. We have a couple fire departments around us that have, you know, people that have special needs, and just knowing them, and some of them are my friends, you know, we're trying to entice people with any type of disabilities to come in and help us out, because we have a lot of different areas that they could really help us out in.
So as we make our way up the stairs, we walk into your boardroom, correct?
Correct.
And, you know, one of the things that stands out right away is this table. It's a table that's made with fire hydrants. Who made that?
This table was made by one of our members, who's also a volunteer here and also at East Brandywine, and he also has a shop, Greg Pilates Fine Furniture, right here in Parksburg.
We did a station cribs that actually highlighted one of his tables at the other side. So, you know, if you haven't seen that, go back, take a look at those, and you're going to see these tables. So,
and the unique thing about him is he also employs our assistant chief and our one lieutenant. And when we get any major calls, and sometimes even just a non-essential call, they'll come down and help us out if we're short-handed. He shuts his shop down and comes down.
Okay, so for a local business to not only work and survive here, he volunteers and allows his own staff to come down and help during fire calls.
Correct.
Day or night.
Yeah, which is, you know, it helps us out a lot. And years ago, a lot of businesses around town used to do that because most of the members used to be businessmen.
Right.
That's another part of the community that started a fire company back in the 1800s.
Right.
But to have that come back around is pretty cool.
Yeah, I've noticed that even in East Brandywine, you know, the local community businesses, or whether it's the road crews and stuff like that, they all come out and help the fire company, and that's what makes these things run.
Yeah, well, we had at one time our police chief and some of the police officers, when they were younger, they used to come up and drive for us, and like I said, they would turn their police cars off and jump in the fire. Two different hats.
All right, let's take a look down the hallway. We'll continue with the tour. We're making our way out of the boardroom on the upper level, and we're going into the hallway. It's a typical hallway, but this is where most of your offices are.
Correct.
I noticed right away that you have an EMS office for Medic 93, which is your ALS support. Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah, Medic 93, the hospital came to us a while back and wanted to get a medic unit out to the western end of the county. And we had the space, we had the room for them between the board and the hospital. They came to agreement, and they have a unit on the floor, and they respond out of here to the western, all over.
So ALS and BLS come out of the same house?
Correct, correct.
Down at the end of the hallway here, we have your EMS charting room. This is where a lot of the business happens, where they, you know, chart in, they do their studying and that kind of stuff, correct?
That was one thing we had to do, and we wanted to do too, give them their own space. So like you said, they can study, they can do their charting, and with HIPAA laws, you know, everything's secure, and only the EMS personnel have access to that room.
Okay, yeah, you got security on a lot of the doors
throughout. Yeah, the whole building's secure, everything's fobbed. We also have cameras. We have in-house alarm systems. When they get alarmed, no matter where they're at, even if they don't have their pager with them, they know there's an alarm coming in.
Okay, so as we're making it around, you got a little area here that they have their mailboxes, faxing, you know.
Yeah, just all the clerical stuff that the fire department needs is kept in here. The copier, and also a storage room, which is kind of like our storeroom for store items like t-shirts and jackets. And a lot of that's for the paid staff. When they come on board, we can outfit them, but it's also for sale to the members.
You guys are using every bit of this building.
Yeah, we tried to, every little corner that there was a hole, we tried to do something.
Okay. So as we continue down the hallway here, we're heading towards the back of the building. One of the things that we run across right away around from the boardroom is your little kitchen.
Yeah, we have a kitchen. It's a kitchenette, we call it, but it's actually, you'll see, it's a fairly good size. But it has stove, microwave, refrigerator, table for them to put their lunches in and have a nice clean area to eat their lunch.
Yeah, I mean, you got a full-size stove, you got a full-size fridge, so they, you know, don't have to go out to McDonald's and eat all the time. They can actually bring and cook their meals and that kind of stuff.
And sometimes I come in, you can smell pretty good. I'm like, yeah, what's for lunch? Yeah.
You have ladies and men's, but actually they look unisex.
Yeah, they're unisex bathrooms, you know, depending on who's in where. They both have showers. They're both, everything's, again, ADA. Toilet and change. The lockers are actually in the rooms themselves where the bunks are for their personal gear to keep it secure.
Right.
The other unique thing about this upstairs is this used to be the meeting room for the Borough Council, and from the renovations in '77, the Borough Council used to have their meetings up here, and back in here where the bunk rooms are used to be the police station and also the jail cell.
Are they still jail celled?
No, not jail cell. I guess some of the police probably think they are, but they're not.
So these are very big bunk rooms. You got, you know, 4 beds per bunk room, right?
Yeah, 4 beds per bunk room. And there's still enough room in here if they wanted to put a little chair in here or a recliner, we still could.
Because you run EMS 24/7.
Yeah, they're here 24/7, 7 days a week.
But again, you know, knowing Chester County weather in, you know, Pennsylvania, we get snow, we get rain, and lots of weather that you're going to have to bring crews in and maybe stay here for an extended period of time.
Yeah, we could, you know, that's the other thing. Even some of the offices, if they had to, you know, have a lot of personnel here, we could open some of the offices up and put cots in with the old civil defense cots and blankets. And that's the other thing we added in the renovation was a generator big enough to run the whole department. It runs everything in the department that's on electric, including the siren.
Wow, wow. So as we're making our way out of this bunk room, we're making it down the final hallway of the back of the building here. You have a final bunk room here, and this was the jail cell that you were mentioning.
Yeah, this was a jail cell. This jail cell was unique at the time. Like I said, they don't want criminals to get away. So this jail cell was actually a completely steel container from some type of naval ship that was down at Philadelphia Shipyard. Back in the day, they went down there. They were scrounging everything from the war. And they got this compartment and they put it on a concrete pad, which actually ended up being one of the old footers from the railroad building that used to be here.
Okay, okay. So as we make our way out of the back hallway here, we're gonna go down the stairs and go into your training room. All right, so as we're making our way down the stairs, I noticed in the corner here, you use every space available in this firehouse. What is this?
Yeah, as you said earlier, every place we had a hole, we tried to use for something. And during the construction, this was just kind of like a void. And our assistant chief went here one day and said, "What are we gonna use that for?" And I don't know. Well, let's put the compressors there. So we measured it out. And you know, this is a cylinder that has to be so many feet or inches from the wall. This is our compressor for our self-contained breathing apparatus to fill it. And the filling station is upstairs in the engine room, which we'll see later.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, using every space available.
Everything we can. You know, we're limited on the footprint of the building itself for parking and everything else, and we're limited on our footprint inside the building. So if there's a hole, we're gonna put something there.
Yeah, if I didn't know any better, this was pre-designed. So you're making up something and finding holes is great.
Well, the unique thing that happened before the consolidation of the fire departments was Parkersburg had actually started on the renovation plans. And we had most of the design work, we had most of the permitting done for the land development, the stormwater management. So when we came on board with the consolidation of the other fire departments, we just put it on hold till everything was settled out, and then we jumped back into it and just had final approvals through the borough for their permitting, and then we got started on the build.
Wow, this place looks great. We are now in your training area, correct?
Correct. It's a designated training area, which we never had before. As you said earlier, we have the TVs for any visual effects, and go on YouTube with the Wi-Fi to bring up other training, which gives us more access to anything.
So these TVs are actually connected to the building, so you can have training down here, you can have it up in the boardroom, you can have it anywhere you need to be.
Correct, correct.
Wow.
The other thing we added, which we never had before, was any type of record storage. The records are always kept at somebody's house, getting lost, you know, trying to preserve history. So we actually built in a dedicated storage room for just filing cabinets and our record keeping, and then we also added a bathroom down here too, so we didn't have to run upstairs all the time.
Okay. The one question that comes to mind for me is, you know, most of the firehouses that we've been going to, they had some kind of social hall that they rented out and stuff like that. With a space this large, are you able to rent this out, or?
We probably could, but we don't. At our other firehouse in Pomeroy, the Pomeroy station, we still have a hall down there and a kitchen, and we do rent that out to special occasions. It's limited because of the size. I think it's like limited to 100 people. So it's not big weddings or anything.
So this is pretty much dedicated to teaching and you know, keeping up with their con eds and that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
But it has its own separate entrance, so if you are from another company or something like that, you don't have to wander through the whole building to get here. You can make your own entrance to the side.
You can come park in the parking lot and come right down the outside.
So you can host, you know, hazmat, you can host ACLS and those kind of things right here.
And they have had private lessons for CPR, childbirthing, things like that. I know they talked about those kind of groups can come in here. We do let those, because they're volunteer, most of those are volunteers too, so that we'll let them use the facility also.
Very cool. So next what we're going to do is going to go up the engine bay. Up there we're going to meet the fire chief and get him to talk to us a little bit, tell us what kind of trucks they have, how they store them, those kind of things. So Tim, I want to thank you for your time, showing us the building and everything that you have, the history. You know, having a guy like you keeping this history going is very important. So hopefully the next generations that do this continue on.
Yeah, we need them.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. See you guys later.
The next place we're going is out to the engine bay. But as I'm walking through the door, I noticed that Tim, the guy that was just talking to us, was honored here by having a plaque or a sticker in regards to a dedication to this whole engine bay for the work that he's done and the service that he's given over the last 40 years. How cool is that to have your name on someone's building? So as we continue in, I'm going to run into the fire chief. This is Rob. Nice to meet you. Thank you for inviting us. And you're going to kind of take us on a tour of what you have out in the engine area.
Yep. Yeah, so out here in the engine bay, we have 3 bays. They're 14-foot openings, 88-foot long. So we have plenty of storage here. They are a drive-through bay, but we don't use it that way. We have them stacked back to back to maximize the apparatus flow.
Okay, okay. What's behind you?
So behind me is our gear room. It is separated from the engine bay, so all the exhaust and stuff like that isn't contaminating our gear. There's a fan in this room that's constantly drawing out the carcinogens and stuff that might be coming off the fire gear after a fire.
That's the new NFPA regulations to have a clean room, correct?
Yep, the clean room. So this is our answer to the clean room. Every locker has outlets above it so they can charge your flashlights and stuff like that. And we have all of our gear in one area. So there's no bumping into anybody, just you know exactly where to go.
Okay, now we mentioned before that you had a combination or a consolidation of a bunch of different stations. You had Pomeroy, you had
Parkersburg and Ackland Fire Companies.
Okay, and with that you have a pretty good pool of volunteers. About how many volunteers do you get on a regular basis here?
This station we have about 30 volunteers that come here. Unfortunately not all at the same time, but you know, with work schedules and stuff like that, everybody's trying to make ends meet. But we have a pretty good pool. I think we have about 50 active volunteers.
Right, but you're always looking for more volunteers.
We're always looking for
volunteers. So
volunteers.
if you're watching this video and you're thinking about volunteering and you're in the Parkersburg area or even near, you know, you guys reach all the way out to the Lancaster border or go into Coatesville area.
Yep.
If you can make those kind of responses, come on down, give them your information, you know, become a volunteer. They'll take you from, you know, basically knowing nothing to a full-fledged firefighter.
Yeah, we can take somebody straight off the street. We can send them to classes. There's a great training center right down the street through Chester County Fire Training School. They just did that mega $1 million project down there, and it's awesome. It's really close to us, so we can take somebody straight off the street, send them down there, get their academies done, and get them in a new set of gear and get on the fire trucks and start going for rides.
They can come and enjoy this brand new nice building.
They can enjoy this nice building, yes.
All right, so as we're making our way through, you got an entrance and an exit, so you know you don't have to trip over each other getting your gear. We'll make a right and head down the hallway here a little bit. So now as we enter back out into the engine bay, going to our right here, we have a couple of different rooms. And what are these? What are these used for?
So here, the first room is the engineer's room. This is where our chief engineer operates out of. He has everything that he needs as far as lubricants, tools, anything to do the in-house maintenance in our apparatus.
Okay, I noticed downstairs when we were doing the tour, they had that air compressor. That's hooked up to help them with tools too?
Yep, that air compressor runs the station air. We have an air reel in here and everything. There's air reels throughout the station, but he has everything he needs to do his job to keep the apparatus running.
Okay, next room that we come to is?
Next room we come to is our SCBA maintenance room. We have the fill station for the compressor you guys saw downstairs.
Okay.
So that fill station's in here. We have a gear washer and a gear dryer, and we also have a household dryer for our linens and stuff like that.
Okay, so you don't have to send your gear out to get professionally cleaned after a big fire. You can
Nope, we can take care of the minor stuff in-house with our gear washer. And all of our spare SCBA cylinders are in here, and we have a maintenance rack to do the maintenance on them as well.
And you clean all your hoses too?
We clean all of our hoses and air packs all together.
Okay. As we finally make it down towards the end of the building here, last but not least is your EMS supply room, right?
Yeah, and here's the EMS supply room. Inside the EMS supply room is everything that they need to restock. Okay. So we have all the equipment, gloves, bandaging, backboards, if they need a new collar bag or anything like that. And then all your other supplies, everything's in one location for the EMS crews. They even have the spare oxygen tanks here.
So as they back in from a call, they can get right here, restock, get ready for the next call.
That's correct. They just come in here and restock, and they have all their inventory items. If we need anything, they have a whiteboard right there that they can.
Now with COVID, one of the big things is all their PPEs. I noticed that you have a full rack. You supply all your guys with their own PPEs, right?
Yes, so everybody has their own PPE issued to them, and then we try to keep up with the glove situation.
Yeah. All right, let's make our way back out and let's take a look at your trucks. So as we're coming down the engine bay, I want to ask you a little bit more about yourself. You are the fire chief here, and you've been here how long?
I've been a member of this organization for as Parkersburg Fire Company before the merger or consolidation. I was a member going on 19 years.
Okay. And you've been the fire chief how long?
I've been the fire chief for 4 years now.
Okay.
Before that, I've served as deputy chief and assistant chief through the consolidation.
But you also work other places. You volunteer other places.
I work for the West Grove Fire Company. I'm the assistant EMS manager for them. And I also work for Union Fire Company of Oxford, where I'm the ambulance captain down there.
Okay, okay. As we come down here, I want to put a shout out to those that are viewing. We've gone through a station cribs aspect of this, and if you like what you've seen so far, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification, and we'll continue to give you more information. As we're walking down the hallway here, we have two different trucks. What do you got here?
To my right here is Ladder 8. It's a 2012 75-foot aerial device. It also has a pump on it and tank. So it carries 500 gallons of water with a pump, so it can serve as an engine. It's considered a quint, but in Chester County it's a ladder, so it's Ladder 8. So
what does quint stand for? For those of us that aren't in the fire service or that are watching this, we heard that before in one of our videos, and it came up in one of the questions. What's a quint? What's a squirt? What's a, that kind of thing?
So the quint is an aerial device that has its own water and pump. So it's capable of handling a suppression piece or an aerial device.
So over here we have
Rescue 8. Rescue 8's it's 2018. It was purchased as Keystone Valley Fire Department. It was the first piece of apparatus that the fire department purchased. It is a fully functioning engine as well as a rescue, full complement of Hearst tools and fire suppression equipment.
Wow, you got a lot of equipment on that. So maybe in another video we can go through that and actually take a look, see what you got on that.
Sure can.
But you mentioned that this was the first one you bought. These ones were because of the mergers?
Yeah, so the other apparatus are all purchased through Pomeroy, Parkersburg, and Ackland Fire Company. Parkersburg Fire Company had actually purchased the ladder just before the consolidation.
Okay.
That was in 2012, so it came over from the consolidation. So as you notice, the rescue is black over red. That was the new colors picked by Keystone Valley for the apparatus moving forward.
Okay. And you also have a tanker.
So the tanker, that came from Ackland Fire Company. Bill Winters, when he was fire chief, got this through an AFG grant. It's 3,200 gallons of water, and it serves the area pretty well with the non-hydrogen areas around here.
Right, because once again, in Chester County, you don't have big city hydrants everywhere. You're more of that rural area, correct?
Parkersburg Borough has hydrants. The rest of the areas that we cover in West Asbury and Highland Township have no hydrants.
Okay.
So we rely on the tanker to bring the water for us.
Okay, and last but not least, you have a
We have the TAC unit here. It's a smaller unit used to respond to medical assist and stuff like that. It has a pump and tank on it. It carries 300 gallons of water, so it can do some field fires and stuff like that for us. We use it for medical assist as well.
Okay. So in a little bit, maybe we'll actually go through the medic stuff too, or the ambulance.
Yeah, we can take a look at the ambulances as we go through.
Okay, it might not be on this video, but maybe we'll get you another video. Take a look at what's inside an ambulance over here at Keystone and see how cool the ambulances are. So you mentioned you got a brand new ambulance most recently. You are a full service fire station, but you also do EMS. You provide BLS and ALS coverage by a chase car. And this is your newest apparatus, correct?
Yeah, so the ambulance was just purchased at the beginning of this year. It was a huge support from Keystone Valley Regional Fire District. They were tremendous on helping us acquire this piece of equipment. This ambulance is about $200,000 that they had just purchased. So it will serve the community pretty well for the next couple of years.
These are one of the things that go out quite often. EMS is always, getting busier and busier. I hear this is going to be one of your busiest years yet.
Yeah. Surprisingly, through COVID, we've had a major ramp up. On average, we run about 1,200 ambulance calls this year. We're probably going to run about 1,400.
How many fire calls do you guys run a year?
We average about 300 fire calls a year.
Okay. So as we make our way back, you have two different ambulances.
Yep.
And this one is the primary out. This is a secondary?
Yeah, so this is a secondary ambulance. This is a 2013. It's the next one to be replaced. So we rotate them on a monthly basis so they don't get too abused. And actually today we have two crews on, so we have staffing on both ambulances today.
Wow. And then the final truck back here is actually the one that's rented space from Tower Health, Brandywine Hospital.
Yeah, Tower Health has Tower Direct now.
Okay.
They lease a bay from us in the office upstairs that you guys saw earlier. This is Medic 293. It's a pretty busy unit that runs out of here. It's tremendous help to the district as we're getting ALS support right away versus 11 minutes when it's coming from the hospital. Yeah,
that partnership we talked about in many of our station cribs and stuff like that. Working together, trying to figure out what works best for your community, having a chase car and an ambulance service, because chase car doesn't have to go out on every call, but they're there when you need it.
Yep.
So, big shout out to Tower Health and them, coming down here and helping cutting that response time makes a world of difference.
Yeah, it helped not only our district, but the surrounding areas as well, assisting with Christiana ambulance and stuff like that. So it was tremendous having them partner up with us.
And their rent, it actually helps you, right?
Yep, and it's an income for us.
Yeah, very cool. So Rob, I appreciate you inviting us out here, and showing us your house and all the innovative things that you've been doing. You guys, you specifically, and your crews are epitome of what Heroes Next Door is about. So
thank you, Mike. It was a pleasure.
So if you guys are out in the community and you want to come down, get a hold of these guys, take a look, and thank you for watching another episode of Station Cribs. Once again, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit notification, and we'll see you on the next ones.